All right, let's talk about something that I bet is pretty familiar to a lot of you. You've been part of a big project, right? You get these fantastic results, everyone's high-fiving, and then you look back 6 months later and it's like it never happened. Well, today we're diving into the tool that top performers use to make sure those hard-won improvements actually stick around for good. So here's what we're going to cover. First, we'll put a name to the problem, why improvements seem to vanish. Then, we'll introduce the solution, the control plan. After that, we'll get into the nitty-gritty, breaking down product versus process plans. We'll lay out a blueprint for a plan that actually works, and then we'll wrap up by looking at how this simple tool can fundamentally change your company's culture.
You know the scene, right? Your team just wrapped up a huge project. You've optimized a process, slashed waste, boosted quality. The numbers look incredible. So you celebrate, the team moves on, and leadership starts looking for the next fire to put out. But then, fast forward a few months, you pull up the dashboard and, well, things have quietly slid right back to where they started. This isn't because people are lazy, it's something way more predictable.
And that something actually has a name: process entropy. Yep, just like in physics where things naturally move toward chaos, our business processes have this gravitational pullback to their old, comfortable, and usually less efficient state. See, without a system to actively hold those gains in place, entropy always wins. It's just human nature. Old habits creep back in, new people get trained the old way, and poof, your improvements are gone. This is the real enemy we're up against.
Okay, so if process entropy is the villain of our story, what's our hero? It's the control plan. And look, I know what you're thinking, more paperwork. But it's not. This is a formal strategy, a disciplined system designed for one single purpose: to fight back against entropy and lock in the value you created. It's your fortress against backsliding.
So what is it exactly? Well, think of a control plan as a living document that is your new quality control playbook. It's the official manual for how to maintain this new, higher standard of performance. It takes success out of the land of "I hope people remember what to do" and puts it into a structured, monitored, and consistent system. It's really the bridge from a temporary project to a permanent, better way of working.
And the benefits are huge. First off, it limits process variation. And we all know variation is the absolute enemy of quality. You get a predictable, consistent outcome every time. It also makes quality requirements crystal clear and easy to find, so there's zero guesswork. This makes onboarding new people a breeze. Just hand them the plan. And of course, it's our #1 weapon against entropy. For any of you in the Six Sigma world, you'll know this is the absolute heart of the control phase in a DMAIC project. It's how you cash the check.
All right, so let's get a little strategic here. Not all control plans are created equal. We can break them down into two main types, using a classic consulting framework, MISI, that's mutually exclusive and collectively exhaustive. Basically, you're either focusing on the final product itself, or you're focusing on the process that makes it. Getting this distinction right is totally fundamental.
So what's the real difference? A product control plan is all about the output. It asks questions like, is this finished part the right color? Or does this final report have any typos? You're inspecting the result at the end of the line. A process control plan, on the other hand, focuses on the inputs and the steps inside the system. It asks, is the raw material we're using up to spec? Or is the machine calibrated correctly? It's about controlling the variables that produce the result. You can think of it this way. One is looking at the destination, the other is managing the journey.
Let's dive a little deeper here, because the mindset shift is so important. With a product plan, you're defining things like tolerances and testing frequency. Check 1 out of every 1,000 widgets. It's an inspection. Now look at the process side. It's all about the specs of the process itself, the inputs, the steps, the machine settings. You have a designated process owner, not just a QC inspector. You're constantly monitoring the health of the process. And this leads to the biggest difference of all. One is about catching defects after they've already happened, and the other is about preventing them from ever happening in the first place. That's the game changer.
So knowing what kind of plan to make is half the battle. Making one that people actually use is the other half. I mean, a control plan that just collects dust on a shelf is completely useless, right? It has to be a practical, living document. So what are the absolute non-negotiables for a plan that's going to work in the real world?
Here are the 4 golden rules. 1, it has to be clear and concise. An expert should be able to glance at it and get what they need. 2, and this is crucial, it's got to be easy for a brand new user to follow. Someone on day 1 should be able to do it right the first time. 3, be comprehensive. Don't assume anything. Don't just say, measure it. Say, measure it with the XT5 caliper using method B. And finally, number 4,
It must be repeatable and reproducible. That means one person can get the same result over and over, and two different people can get that same result. If you don't have both, your plan has a serious weakness.
Okay, as we start to wrap this up, it's really important to zoom out for a second. A control plan is not just a form you fill out at the end of a project to check a box. When it's done right, it becomes a cornerstone of your organization's discipline. It's a signal that you're shifting from a culture of just bouncing between projects to a culture of true, continuous improvement. This quote from SixSigmaStudyGuide.com just nails it. A control plan fights entropy by helping people remember and use the changes. That's the whole ballgame. It's not a passive document. It's an active weapon. It's the system you put in place to make sure that the collective memory of the better way doesn't just fade away with time.
So I'll leave you with this one question to think about. Take a hard look at your own company. Are you actually built to improve? With disciplined systems like control plans that lock in your wins? Or are you just built to change, constantly chasing the next project while entropy quietly erases all your hard work? The difference between those two is everything.